I want to shift to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. So he's, had a really bad week in terms of news headlines on the Canada's very first National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. His itinerary placed him in Ottawa in private meetings, and then it turned out that he had actually flown to Tofino to meet his family there. The optics obviously are horrendous on this, Nick. What's your thinking behind this? I mean, how did this happen, I suppose?
Well, I think, let's face it, the elections are a pretty grueling period for all the federal party leaders. I'm sure all of them geared down to take a break with their family. And, as reported by the Prime Minister's office, is the schedule changed at the last minute and he went out to Tofino. The problem is the picture of him holding the board, walking on a beach on the day of National Reconciliation, like the new holiday that Justin Trudeau is responsible for creating. So you would expect that on a holiday that he identified as an important priority for himself and for his government, that he would be part of that dialogue, journey, healing process when it comes to truth and reconciliation with Indigenous peoples. But he obviously decided to take some personal time. The problem is that it includes a picture of him taking personal time, which kind of questions his commitment. And Michael, that would be like us telling our boss, do you know what? Remembrance Day is really important for me. It's a really important holiday. Did I tell you how much important, Remembrance Day was? And then, on Twitter, it was posted pictures of us, why don't we just say, on the beach in Tofino, holding a surfboard or something like that. And everyone was there to see. People will be wondering, okay, so on the one hand, you say that this is important. And is this the most appropriate way? If he was just walking on the beach, I don't think anybody it wouldn't have been as much of an issue. But the problem is, I shouldn't say the problem. The reality is, in today's politics, a picture can be more damaging than anything anyone can say. And that particular picture was not positive in terms of people trying to reconcile, Indigenous peoples and healing with the Prime Minister's personal time off to rest after the election.
So for the country's efforts towards truth and reconciliation, it's the optics are really terrible. But just for the Liberal Party itself, what kind of impact would it have, and how is Trudeau doing in terms of his own personal brand as a politician?
Well, think of it this way: this is the guy who survived blackface, brownface, right? And he survived because his track record on diversity, equality, refugees, right? All that kind of stuff. As Prime Minister, his track record is actually quite strong from a legislative perspective. So he's basically given a bye on that. So then the big question is, because everyone knows that reconciliation and relations with Canada's Indigenous peoples is a priority for Justin Trudeau and his government, are they going to give him a pass because his actions as Prime Minister have been very supportive? But the big question is he trying to say something, or is this just a bad picture that just happened to be taken in terms of him on this particular day? And the fact of the matter is that the good news for Justin Trudeau is he has won the greatest number of seats in 3 elections. Pretty good. He's only won the popular vote in 1 election, his first, and he's lost the popular vote in 2. What's the best before date for Justin Trudeau? Yeah. I'm not frozen. I'm just being quiet. It's just silent. We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know
yeah. And the Liberal Party has become the party of Justin Trudeau. It's intrinsically linked. So I'm curious how the party handles that, because eventually he'll step down, and how does the party kind of transition to a post-Trudeau party, I suppose?
Well, we have to remember that Justin Trudeau took the Liberal Party, which was broken and on the ropes, and he remade it into a governing party that won the greatest number of seats in 3 elections. But he did that not by rebuilding the party, but remaking it a movement, making it a lot easier for people to join and making it a movement, a bit of a coalition, a progressive coalition that welcomed a lot of diversity and a lot of people with different progressive visions, but still progressives under that progressive tent. And the big question is, how do you transition after that? Here's a prediction. I have a prediction that will probably embarrass me. How about this? If we see a speech from the throne, the speech from the throne is going to be the keynote signal, not just for the Liberal government, but for Justin Trudeau's future. I would hazard to say that if Justin Trudeau is thinking about his transition out of politics, that he will be thinking about legacy. And if he's thinking about legacy, we'll see a speech from the throne that's very ambitious, where he wants to deliver on some of those big issues that are really, really important to him. If we see a speech from the throne, and I'm not going to use the word boring, but kind of like the ones that we've seen before, workmanlike, very focused, targeted, right? If we see something like that, then I would hazard to say that he's probably going to want to stay for one other election, because he's going to try to continue to kind of build the Liberal brand and try to win. You know, I think if you're Prime Minister, you want to have more Canadians vote for you than the other person. I think that's probably an objective that Justin Trudeau probably wants. So let's watch to see the signals coming out of the speech from the throne. Will the signals indicate it's a legacy speech from the throne about what Justin Trudeau has accomplished, a swan song, so to speak, or is it more political in terms of trying to build a bigger coalition for the Liberals for the next federal election?